Well, here with us now is former judge and trial attorney Ashley Wilcott and trial attorney Philip Dube. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, well, Dubé, apologies for that. We want to break down these charges that Mangione pleaded guilty to: interstate stalking resulting in death, and stalking through the use of interstate facilities resulting in death there. So this is not a part of any plea agreement. Judge Wilcott, why now enter a guilty plea on the federal charges?
Well, that's a great question. I think it was a strategy, but I also think it's a risk. And so we know the defense is arguing, listen, in the state of New York, everywhere double jeopardy applies, but the state of New York goes one step further in terms of defining it and specifically says that a person cannot be prosecuted for two offenses based on the same act or criminal transaction, with some exceptions. And the defense is saying, now that he's pled guilty to this and it resulted in the death of the CEO, Brian Thompson, hey, you can't try him, New York. Now, a judge is going to have to decide that if the state does not choose to dismiss these charges, which they will not, in my opinion. So it's a risk, but notice his words. He didn't just say, I plead guilty to stalking. He went out further to the words that you said and said, I admit that I killed him and that I knew what I did was wrong.
All right, well, prosecutors say they intend to seek the maximum when Mangione will be sentenced on December 18th. Philip, I'll get this one to you. What do you make of the Mangione strategy to enter a guilty plea on these federal charges? How do you think it's going to impact his sentence as we look ahead?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it was rather brilliant. He technically, on the federal charges, is looking at life in prison. I mean, if the judge really wanted to, he could really hammer him with life in prison. And given that the federal murder charges were dismissed, and now this motion to dismiss the state murder charges has been filed, I could actually see the judge taking a much closer look at all of the conduct leading up to this man's death. I mean, when you really look at this sort of criminal episode, there was a lot of sophistication and planning involved. And I realize the young man has no record. And certainly he started off with a doozy. But there was a weapon that was used, and it is a homicide. I could see a judge actually giving him life. But based on the guidelines, he could get, I believe, anywhere from 24, I think it is, or 24 to 30 years based on the guidelines. But personally, I think he'll get quite a bit more.
Goodness. Judge Wilcott, I'll give this one to you. Let's stick on this double jeopardy storyline because it seems to be the storyline of the day. Mangione's state murder trial is scheduled to begin on September the 18th. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what his defense team said that they would be arguing about double jeopardy. Listen.
Mr. Mangione has been unfairly treated since the outset in every way and has successfully fought off terrorism charges and the death penalty, while also fighting at the same time two simultaneous prosecutions in two jurisdictions who are trying to punish him twice for the exact conduct.
What do you think, Judge Wilcott?
Well, that's what they're saying, but there are some different exceptions to the New York statute, and one of them is if the offenses have substantially different elements and the acts establishing are clearly distinguishable. So you have stalking in the federal court, you have murder in the state court. If I were the prosecution, I would argue those are different, and we can still go forward. So again, I understand the defense's position. I think it's brilliant lawyering, but I'm not going to tell you I'm convinced 100% at the end of the day they're going to win that argument.
All right, Philip, I'll give this one to you. We've previously seen Mangione smiling in court. He does have, look, he's got a lot of fans. He's been raising all kinds of cash. These fans, these fangirls especially, they've been lining up outside of the courtroom during his hearings. Take a listen to one woman.
Yeah, I thought Luigi's statement was obviously well thought out, but it seemed like he was saying, you know, I'm standing on what I did. I'm not taking it back. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily sorry about it. He actually doubled down a couple times, and I think that was kind of satisfying for me to hear.
Why would that be satisfying for her to hear, Philip?
People really perceive him to be that Joan of Arc freedom fighter taking on corporate America and big tech. Seriously, I cannot tell you how many people are denied medical claims when they put them either through Medicare, through their own private insurance company, and they have to take on these big HMOs and corporate insurance companies in court. And usually they end up losing not because they've lost on the merits, but because they don't have the resources to fight. And even to go to arbitration, usually it's out of pocket unless you prevail. And most people don't have the money to hire counsel. Not to mention, you got to pay for a judge, and some of these private judges can cost $600 an hour. And most people who are on Medicare, they just can't afford it. And this woman, people like her, they are symbols of people who have fallen prey to the insurance industry. And they're happy that there's this David and Goliath phenomenon going on where he wants to take one for the team and go all the way to the mat and see justice through. He is a true freedom fighter in the eyes of these people.
All right, Judge Wilcott, I'll just let you weigh in quickly before we go. I mean, his defense team also, they brought that up, in front of all the cameras and microphones there for the press. Were they trying to justify his behavior by saying that he had back pain and medical problems that he had a really tough time navigating?
They're trying to put their narrative out to make people sympathetic with him, to get to jurors who, although need to be independent, unbiased, and fair, and they're on a jury, that get the narrative out that there's sympathy and people are not going to want to punish him as you might want to punish a killer.
All right, Judge Ashley Wilcott, Philip Dubé, thank you so much for joining us and weighing in. More Morning in America coming up right after this.